Also Ramadan, I believe. Yes, it is. Well, I want to welcome you all here. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a very special program for you. I really do. You know, I was watching, well, first of all, Scott, if you bring that slide back up again. Here. Okay. Now that goes back 59 years that I started this. Let it go then, Scott. Okay. Now, I was watching a video yesterday that I received from a very good friend of mine, Liz Edlick, down in the Bahamas. And she wanted to introduce me to a friend of hers, Coach Morley. Coach Morley is a physical trainer in the Bahamas, and I guess he's Liz Edlick's physical trainer. And they were talking, and she was introducing Coach Morley to me on the video. And we're talking about, she was teaching him that you can have whatever you want. In fact, I had made a coach program with Liz one time that says the power to have whatever you want. And you do have the power to have whatever you want. But as Coach Morley was talking to me, I was trying to figure out where is he at mentally. Nice guy. I loved his energy. It was good energy. Liz obviously likes working with him, or he wouldn't have been there talking to me. And he said that she was teaching him about whatever you hold in your mind, you can have. He's been watching some of the videos that we put on YouTube. Well, Coach Morley said that he had a dream someday of having a yacht. Now I'm thinking, here he is, a physical instructor, physical trainer. Some of the yachts down there in the Bahamas are just absolutely incredible. I coached a man on one, used to be down in the Caribbean and then over in the Mediterranean. And it was a 120-foot yacht. It was a magnificent thing. I'd go and spend 3-4 days with him, coaching him. And Coach Morley was saying he wanted one of these. Now, it would be like a dream in his mind. Well, what I want you to understand, that what I'm doing right now was nothing but a dream in my mind, Coach Morley, when I started out. Bring that slide back up again now, if you will, Scott. Now, no, bring it up full screen. Thank you. Now, Sandy Gallagher has told on many occasions how she came to a seminar about 15 years ago, and she took her pen and she wrote in very small words on the workbook that she was doing that she'd like to be my closest advisor. Now, Sandy Gallagher was a securities attorney and a very successful one, a full partner in a big company. So she was earning a lot more money than I would imagine Coach Morley was earning, but she was a long ways from being where she is right now. Sandy Gallagher is not only a closest advisor, she owns half of this company. She is my full partner. And thank God she is, because she's done a phenomenal job. Okay, going back now. Scott, and what we're talking about now is you having whatever you dream about. But you've got to see yourself with it. You see, we're going to be working here today on the mental image of yourself. The mental image of yourself. Now, this goes a little further. It's the mental image that you have of yourself. Okay? The mental image that you have of yourself. Now, I'm going to come over here and work, but I want you to think. I want you to really begin thinking. Because you see, you're capable of having, doing, or being whatever you want. There is no limits to what you're capable of doing or being. Absolutely none. Now, take this now full screen, if you will, Scott. What we're really talking about here now is your life. And so far as we know, we get one bite at the apple. So start thinking about your life. Coach Morley wants a yacht. Probably in the Bahamas, since that's where he is and that's where he's from. Well, what we want to talk about possibly is lifestyle. your lifestyle. Or we may want to switch gears. It may be about your contribution. Your contribution is going to determine what kind of a lifestyle you have, very likely. We want to talk about how you spend your days. How you spend your days. You see, your life, it's all dependent on how we see ourselves, our self-image. Thanks, God. Now, I think what we want, everyone wants, is freedom. That's what you want, that's what I want. And what we really want is time and money freedom. We want time and money freedom. You see, if we have the time, we don't have any money, we're going to be sort of stuck. There's a lot of people right now have time, but they don't get any money. There's a lot of people have a lot of money, but they don't have the time. We want to have both. We want to have the time to do the things we want to do, live the way we want to live, but we also want to have the money. Now, if we'll take this up full screen for a second, Scott, because there's three essential questions here that are very important that we're going to cover, and then we're going to open it up for some questions and answers. The first one is, how does self-image impact my life? I want you to ask yourself that question. How does self-image impact my life? Now, the second question is, how's the self-image formed? I mean, where did it come from? How was it formed? And the third one, how is the self-image changed? And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about. Because you see, I had to change my self-image. I want you to look at this for a moment, and I want you to think. You see me here in my studio. First of all, there wouldn't be any studio if Sandy Gallagher hadn't been my partner, because she and I used to sit out behind my house, and I'd talk about, I would love to have a studio, just a place. It was a rather sparse little place. I would have a camera, though, and I could maybe shoot some film in there. What we've really got here right now is a television station. We can broadcast all over the world, multiple cameras. Absolutely incredible. Sandy said, let's do it. And I realized she was serious as I was right behind her. I said, yeah, let's do it. Now, I wanted to take you back to the results that I was getting when I first picked up this book. When I first picked up this book, I was a very unhappy, introverted, I was a bit of a sad case. From a dollar and cent point of view, I owed everybody and his brother money, and I was earning $4,000 a year. And that was actually twice as much as I'd been earning in my previous job. So do you see, when I picked this up, I was not in a good place. But I'm going to tell you something. Within a year, I was at about $175,000 a year. Now, what had to happen? I had to start seeing me totally different. So my entire career over the past 59 years has been shift to self-image, shift to self-image, shift to self-image. This isn't just something I'm talking to you about. This is something I work on, and I work on it every day. And that's just not some part of a story for this seminar. I work at this every day. You see, where I came from, no formal education, no business experience, and today I am paid just ridiculous sums of money to coach different executives, multi-millionaires, show them how to do things that they don't know how to do. How did I become who I am? Well, the truth was, everything I'm expressing now in my life has always been here. This isn't something that's just happened. It's something that I have brought to the surface, and it's something you can bring to the surface. So let's go back and let's take a look here. You are, we're talking about you, we're talking about the image that you've got. You are a mass of energy, and you function on frequencies. Now, it's important that you know that. Your phone is a mass of energy. Not the same as you, but it's a mass of energy. And this functions on frequencies. See, there's similarities to you and your phone, and that is because you're working with a non-physical energy. Now, if we could take a photograph of you in a completely dark room on an infrared television camera, you'd see yourself as a glistening, radiating, gleaming form. That's actually what you would look like. It's rather interesting as we start to study ourselves, really start to understand ourselves. Now, one of the biggest breakthroughs I made was when I went to work at the Nightingale-Conant Corporation in Chicago. I had been in the office cleaning business, and we did very well in it. We opened in different cities, different parts of the world, and I was doing very well. But I got so hooked into studying this that I thought, this is what I've got to spend my life at. I want to spend my life with this material. And so I left that business. I went and I got a job with Nightingale-Conant in Chicago. And in a very short period of time, I got a job working as a consultant with them. We have consultants now in 88 countries, our own company, the Proctor Institute. Nightingale-Conant was just starting this. Now, this is in the 60s. Not many people understood this information. Hardly anybody understood it, and no one knew how to sell it. Pardon me. And so I got a job with them, and because I was working with them, I met a man in Western Canada, Leland Bell Van de Waal. And he sat down with me and he started to teach me things about my mind and about me that just about blew my mind. So I'm working with Val, then I'm working with his mentor, Dr. C. Harry Roeder, and I'm working with Earl Nightingale all at the same time. I'm going to tell you, I was on a crash course with growth. I don't know as anybody has grown as much as I did over the next couple of years. Well, Val sat down with me and he started to talk to me about my mind and about paradigms. I knew nothing about paradigms, but as he started to talk to me, I related to it very, very quickly. And I started to understand that I was being controlled by something inside of me. I was literally being controlled. I was letting it control me. I should say that, because you are letting it control you. So he said, I want to talk to you about your mind and your paradigm. Now he said, Bob, as he asked me, what's the mind look like? Well, of course, I had no concept of what the mind looked like. Neither did anybody else. And so he pointed out that how his mentor, Dr. Roeder, was being mentored or had been mentored by a Dr. Truman Fleet from San Antonio, Texas. And Dr. Fleet was very involved in the healing arts and holistic health. And he said, the mind is not a thing, the mind's an activity. No one has ever seen the mind. So in order to gain clarity and eliminate confusion, he said, I'm going to create an image of the mind. This is Dr. Truman Fleet said this. And he drew a picture, and he said, now let this represent the mind. Well, I'm going to tell you, when Val Van de Waal started to explain this to me, it was like everything I had been studying for years come rushing all together. And what was happening, I was creating an awareness and understanding in my mind. I was starting to see why I was struggling in certain areas and why I was moving at a very fast clip in other areas. Now he said, I want you to let that big circle represent your mind and the small circle to represent your body. Now he said, personally, Bob, how I use it, I let the big circle represent my head. So I'm going to say my mind is in my head. Now that's not the way it is. Your mind is in your fingernail as much as is it in your brain. And he said the body is the instrument of the mind. So when you're imaging things about the mind, I would do it that way if I were you because it works well for me. Now, that's what he taught me. Now, he said the mind is divided into two parts. And he said we call the top part the conscious mind and the bottom the subconscious mind. Now, you may say, well, Bob, I've heard you explain this before. But you haven't heard me explain it as often as I've heard me explain it. Now, why am I saying that? You cannot hear this too often. It's the repetition of this information that's going to alter your self-image, and it's your self-image that's going to manifest in results. That's what's really going to change your life. Now, the body is the instrument of the mind. I have mentioned on every seminar that I ever conduct, this is one of the most valuable ideas that I have ever learned, bar none. Absolutely. No question about it. So now, let's take this and stop and think about how it works. Here we are here. And we'll say the conscious mind is the thinking mind. It's also called the educated mind. It's where the intellect is resident. Now, the subconscious is totally different. The subconscious is your emotional mind. It operates quite different from the conscious mind. See, because you can think, that gives you the ability to choose. You can choose whatever you want to think. You know, many people have taught this down through the ages. In fact, the one point they have all agreed on, every great leader that has ever lived, they've all agreed in the fact that we become what we think about, and we've got the ability to choose. Viktor Frankl was an attorney from Vienna, a Jewish attorney, and he was taken prisoner during the Second World War. I don't suppose anyone was treated with less respect and probably in a worse way than a Jew in a concentration camp during the Second World War. And it was while he was in there, he said he realized, regardless of the intellectual or physical abuse he was subjected to, no one could cause him to think something he didn't want to think. So we have the ability to choose. That gives us the ability to accept or reject everything we hear. You can accept or reject everything I'm telling you. Now, you may treat this as this sidebars or the notes that we would keep on this, but this isn't really the big part. No, that is the big part. That is really the big part. You see, you can reject the image that you're holding of you now and build the image you want. Let me explain for a moment. I was standing in the back of the ballroom in the O'Hare Hyatt Hotel way back in the 60s. I had studied quite a bit of this. I was the vice president of sales for the Nightingale Conant Corporation. I had the strongest desire to get up on the stage and teach it. But I was shy. I was very quiet, very withdrawn. I worked one-on-one with people, but don't put me on a stage. And I was watching Bill Gove, who was considered the Frank Sinatra of public speakers at the time. The guy was phenomenal. I was watching him speak to this audience. And I was thinking, oh, if I could only do that. And then a record started to play in my head. It was a recording that I had listened to thousands of times by Earl Nightingale. And he said, now right here we come to a rather strange fact. We tend to minimize the things we can do, the goals we can reach. And for some equally strange reason, we think other people can do things that we cannot. You see, Morley, you can have the yacht just the same as somebody else can have the yacht. Well, Bob became aware as he was watching Bill Gove, that record started to play in my head. I had listened to that record thousands of times. Thousands of times. But I never really understood what he meant. What he meant was if I could see Bill Gove doing something, I was quite capable of doing it. And I made up my mind, sitting in the back of the room at the O'Hare Hyatt, I would not only get Bill Gove, I would learn how to do what he was doing. I was going to get him to teach me. Now, that was a thought that a quiet, shy person had in the back of a ballroom at the O'Hare Hyatt. That's an idea I chose and I accepted. And that was an idea that stuck in my mind. And today, I'm doing what Bill Gove did. In fact, I think we're doing it on quite a bit larger scale than Bill Gove did it. But you see, he was the model. When you see anyone do anything, if you see anyone that has anything, understand this, you too can do it. But you've got to get the image in your mind that you can do it. Now, all this stuff about the conscious mind, it's all there. We just talked about it. You can think, you can accept or reject. That's information coming from your outside world into your conscious mind. Your subconscious operates quite different. It must accept everything you give to it. It has absolutely no ability to reject, and really understand this. Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate what you imagine and what's real. Your imagination can play a huge role in your life from this point on. Absolutely huge. It really can. So now, how did this all start? Well, let's look at us here now. This is you, right here, right now. And there's information flying into your consciousness today. I'm giving it to you. It's coming in from radios, from other people, from television, from newspapers. And you have the ability to reason. That's one of your higher faculties. In other words, you can think about what I'm saying. Now, you also have a lot of information coming at you through your television, on newspapers, that is very, very negative information. Is it real? Yes, it's real. It's real. It's very real. It's also very negative. You see, you have the ability to accept or reject that. Now, does that mean you deny it? No, you don't deny it. It's there. It's real. It's just that you choose not to think that. But we don't do that. See, we've got the ability to think whatever we want. But we leave our mind wide open and let that information dump right into our subconscious mind. And that is because we have a paradigm. The paradigm is a program that controls how we're utilizing our life, how we're utilizing our mind. Now, you may want to watch this over and over and over a number of times. I would imagine it's going to be posted somewhere after you watch it today and wherever it's posted. Mikey, maybe you could let them know. Is this posted on YouTube? I'm not sure. But at any rate,
it'll stay at the link, on YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, YouTube and Facebook, you can go back. I'm suggesting this based on information that I've been using now for 59 years. Watch it as often as you can. You cannot hear this too often. Now, why would we do this? Well, we would have to go back and take a look at when we were children, because this is also where your self-image was formed. So here you are here as a child. This is you as an infant. Everything that's going on around you is being dumped right into your subconscious mind. Now, what did we say about the subconscious mind? We said it had no ability to reject. It had to accept whatever was plugged into it. Now, you might ask yourself, what was my environment like when I was a little child? What were the people like who were around me? Now, in my case, I was born into the Great Depression. See, I was born in 1934. That was right into the start of the heart of the Great Depression. So when I was 5, 6 years old, just starting school, so was the war breaking out. The whole world was going to war. So I was a depression till the whole world at war. Now, that was my formative years. What was dumped into my mind? Nothing but bad stuff. A lot of terrible stuff. Did I get some good stuff? Yeah, I did get some good, but the most of it was bad. What were they talking about? They were talking about all the people that were dying, the terrible things that were going on during the war. They were talking about everything being rationed, people not having anything, people going without. It was lack and limitation. That was programmed into my mind. Now, that's also where the image that I had of me was built. Your image is built at a very early age. As a little child, you get an image of yourself, how you see you in this world. Now, let's consider this for a moment. We're in an environment, our subconscious mind is wide open. Everything that's going on around us goes right in. Now, let me digress for a moment. Robert Heinlein said something very interesting. He was an author back in the 60s. He wrote Strangers in a Strange Land. He said, in absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. Well, as a little child, that's all we heard was trivia, and we became enslaved by it. And you see, the self-image was only one idea. The paradigm is the multitude of ideas. It's we learned how to talk, It's we learned the language we learned. It's the kind of food we like to eat. We are the product of that environment. If you grow up in one area, you grow up and you're programmed one way. You grow up in another area, you're programmed in a completely different way. I want you to really think about this. So here we are, a number of years later, and we're living the same as we did when we were little kids. Why? We're programmed. That's what a paradigm is. A paradigm is nothing but a multitude of ideas in your subconscious mind that control your life. They literally control your life. Now, here's the baby. Here's the graphic illustration of the baby, okay? Just a subconscious mind. You can relate to it when you see the picture of the baby. That was you at one time. That was me. And we are surrounded by people, and whatever those people are doing, everything that's happening in the baby's environment is going directly into that baby's subconscious mind. We become a product of our environment as a little baby. Now keep thinking. That's where our self-image is formed. Do you know your self-image is controlling your income? It's not your brain that's controlling your income, no. You take people coming out of school, they got degrees coming off the end of their business card. They come out, they graduate as doctors, lawyers. Why did they go into that? Well, some of them went into it because you thought you earned good money. I know all kinds of doctors and lawyers that are earning very poor money. They're not earning much money at all. They have very low self-esteem, very poor image. High developed intellect, lowly developed self-esteem. Now why? Why? That's where they're programmed. That's where you're programmed. I'm programmed. We've been programmed like this. Now at a very early age, we also develop our senses. We can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. What we're not taught, though, is this is our intellectual mind as well, and we've got all these higher faculties. You've got perception, the will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. These are the higher faculties. If you work at developing those faculties, I could make a prediction where you're going to go and what you're going to do. Today, I earned millions of dollars. I sat down a number of years ago, and I took a pen in my hand, and I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. Now, I was sitting in a little den in a house on Maplewood Lane in Glenview, Illinois. I said, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. I was by myself. I had no idea how I was going to do that. But I didn't have to know how I was going to do it. Our Coach Morley doesn't have to know how he's going to get the yacht. You don't have to know how you're going to build your company. You don't have to know how you're going to become financially independent. You don't have to know any of these things. You only have to know it can happen. And it can happen, and you can make it happen. And you start using these higher faculties. As you start doing this, everything in your life starts to change. Now you see, at a very early age, we didn't learn anything about those higher faculties, but we went to school. Now I want you to stop and think of what happened in school. School gave us valuable knowledge. However, school never taught us how to alter paradigms or even anything about them. We therefore frequently don't know or do not do what we already know how to do. You can know how to walk out, put your hand out, and meet a stranger. That doesn't mean you're going to do it. You know how to stand up and speak in front of a large group of people. That doesn't mean you can do it. You go to do it, and your whole nervous system will be shattered. Why? It's because of the program. Well, we've got to understand the part of our mind that knows something and the part that controls what we do. Two totally different parts. So here we've got superior knowledge, inferior results. That'll cause confusion. Let's put our drawing back up. Let's load up. We said that was the educated mind. Well, there's all the books from school. Everything. So you can listen to what I'm saying, you can gather this information, and then not do it. It won't do you any good. There's all kinds of people have sat through these seminars, gathered all the information, and gone right back into their old way of life. I want to recommend you don't do that. I want to recommend you watch this program 1,000 times. It's repetition that'll do it. You see, there's a person with very poor results, and yet they've got tremendous amount of knowledge. They've got degrees coming right off the end of their business card. But you would never know it by the results they're getting. You see, it's the paradigm that controls the results. You have a paradigm, you have a program, and part of it is your self-image in your subconscious mind that's controlling your life. If you want to change your results, you're going to change that paradigm. You've got to change the self-image. You've got to build a new paradigm. Now that is what I want to start talking to you about. But let's understand what the paradigm is. It's a mental program that has almost exclusive control over your habitual behavior. And almost all of your behavior is habitual. Almost all of it. Now let's look at this for a moment. Cybernetics and paradigm, they're both, put this on full screen please, Scott. Cybernetics and paradigms are both control systems that operate essentially on the same principle. Both maintain a definite course of action, will not deviate from that course that has been established. You must alter the paradigm if you desire to achieve the improved results. Both companies and individuals have operating paradigms. Okay? Now come back here again. I want you to look at this. In fact, go full screen with this, Scott. I'm going to come up here. Okay? I want you to really pay attention here. There is a thermostat. A thermostat operates on a cybernetic system. And you set the thermostat to control the temperature of the room at, let's say, 70 degrees. Now, I was born and raised in the north, so that would be a normal temperature for somebody to set the room temperature at. And let's suppose you're sitting in the room and you're quite comfortable, but all of a sudden you feel the room is getting cold. You get up and you go to take a look at the thermometer and you see the temperature has dropped. From the 70 degrees, it's dropped, it's gone down to 65 degrees. Yet you look around and you're trying to figure out what's wrong, and you notice somebody's left the front door open and the cold air is blowing in. You close the door and everything starts to change automatically. How does it change automatically? Well, the cybernetic mechanism in the thermostat measures the deviation from the set goal. It sends a signal to the furnace for the fire to turn on, the fan to turn on, and it starts to blow hot air into the room until such time as the temperature in that room gets back up to 70 degrees. When the room hits 70 degrees, the fire's automatically turned off and the fan's automatically turned off. That's how a cybernetic mechanism operates. It all happens automatically. Understand this. Your self-image operates on a cybernetic mechanism. Now let's look at it from another point of view. There's an airplane. The airplane is going to leave Los Angeles, let's say, and it's going to go to, I don't know, leave New York, go to Paris or something. A flight pattern's programmed into the plane's computer. When the plane goes off course, the cybernetic system measures the deviation from the set goal and corrects the pattern. So here it is here. There it is. It's leaving Chicago and it's going to go to Paris. So it goes along and it'll hit some turbulence. And that turbulence will knock the plane off course. The second the plane leaves the flight pattern, the cybernetic system is activated and the plane's brought right back onto course. This all happens automatically. The pilot had nothing to do with changing that. Now think. Let's look at this. There's your mind. You have a conscious and subconscious in your body. Your subconscious mind has a paradigm in it. Part of it is the self-image. That self-image controls your actions. It controls your results. Consciously, you know. Let's say it controls your results. Let's suppose you're earning much less than you need to live the way you want to live. And you sit down and say, maybe on New Year's, I don't know, maybe your birthday, I'm going to change this. I'm not going to live this way any longer. I'm going to multiply my income. But a year later, the income hasn't changed a bit. You can make all kinds of decisions on a conscious level. If you don't alter that self-image, Nothing changes. Now let's go full screen again for a moment. Let's suppose, here, the self-image is a cybernetic instrument, okay? So you got your self-image in your subconscious mind, all right? It controls the actions of the body. Now keep thinking. Here's a person that's overweight. They make a decision to go on a diet. They're going to diet, okay? And they start taking weight off. They are dieting. They're taking weight off. Now let's think about this. When a person who is overweight goes on a diet without altering the self-image, any weight loss will be temporary. The self-image, being a cybernetic instrument, measures the deviation from the set goal, immediately corrects the course, and the weight that was lost is found. And they go right back again. It's exactly the same as the plane or the thermostat. It's a cybernetic mechanism. That's how your subconscious mind works. Let's look at it a different way. You want to read Psycho-Cybernetics. It's a phenomenal book by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. That's what it's about. Okay, here's another one. Self-image. We're talking about a child's self-image. The child's not doing well in school. They're getting poor grades in school, okay? And so a decision's made. The child is grounded and made to study. No girls, no boys, no TVs. You stay in, you study. Then teachers giving them tests, and they're sent home, and the kids' marks are improving. Glory to God, the kids' marks are improving, okay? And as these marks are improving, you're going to find that something happens. And as we look, when a person is receiving poor grades in school, it's an expression of the self-image they hold. The person believes they're not very bright. They, of course, receive a report card that reflects their poor self-image. The parent makes the child give up recreational activities, study. The grades improve. But the improvement is temporary. The child has never changed their self-image. And what happens? They come right back, and they're right back on course again. You see, this is you here now. You've got senses. Now really listen. You've got what I've just given you. That's background stuff. That's background stuff. There you are. You can look at your outside world. You have a paradigm. And that paradigm is the self-image. It's really the self-image. That's really what it is. That paradigm controls the vibration you're in, which controls your behavior and controls your results. Now, your conscious mind, you have an imagination. You can look around, you can see things. It's like Coach Morley seeing the yacht. That's what I'd like. I'd like to own one of those yachts. Where they see somebody, God, I wished I looked like her. Then I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to build a fortune. I'm going to build a company. And so you see, this happens. They build a beautiful image with their imagination. That image must be impressed upon the subconscious mind. It's got to be impressed over and over and over again, or it will not take root in the subconscious mind. It takes a lot of programming, You've got to keep in programming. You just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, or it's not going to happen. Now, let's think for a moment. Buckminster Fuller said something really interesting. He said, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you've got to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Coach Morley has got to see himself so successful that he can go out and buy his own yacht. There's no reason why Coach Morley can't have a yacht. There's no reason why Bob Proctor cannot build a company that operates all over the world. And you want to know something? I didn't spend any time thinking of why I couldn't. All I did was keep studying these books that told me how I could. You're going to grow. You want to grow? You want to own the yacht, Coach Morley? Do you want to multiply your income? Then you got to change. You got to change. It ain't going to happen by accident. Now think. There you are. I want you to look around you. Look at all the good there is out there. Look at all the beauty there is. Understand what's going on inside dictates what you're going to get outside. It controls the vibration you're in, it controls your behavior, and it controls your results. If you want to change, you've got to build the picture of what you want. You've got to build the picture of what you want. With your imagination, you build a beautiful image. You take your pen and you actually write out, I'm so happy and grateful, and describe how you want to see you right to the letter. Then, if you're wise, you'll tell someone what you're going to do. You'll make a commitment to that person and ask them to hold you accountable. I have seen people do that, and I've watched their life change like night and day. This beautiful image has to be impressed upon the subconscious mind. Not once, it has to be impressed over and over and over and over and over again. Because it takes a lot of impressing before that self-image changes. When it does, the results are automatic. They're just automatic. H.L. Hunt put it very well. He said, decide what you want. Decide what you're prepared to give up to get it. Set your mind to it, and then get on with the work. I love a quote that helps me really relate to this concept of self-image. See, self-image is an idea, and it's an idea that will change your life forever. It'll change the results. There's the quote. It's by Alfred Adler. He said, I am grateful to the idea that has used me. I am grateful to the idea that has used me. Now come with me here for a moment. For me to go from 4,000 to 175 and then to millions did not happen by accident. I want you to let this represent you. Now, take a look at the results you're getting right now. Understand those results are the expression of a paradigm, an idea here in your subconscious mind. You know here how to do a lot better than you're doing. I'm asked continually what I would do if I was to start all over. I'd probably be a network marketer. What do I have to do? I have to go out and find new people and start them in the business. I have to do that every day. And I know all kinds of network marketers, they know that, but they don't do that. Why? Program. They've got an absolute ton of knowledge here, but they're not doing it. They're not doing it. What do you want to do? Well, stay with me. We'll do some Q&A in a minute. Here you are. Now you're operating on the premise that the paradigm you have in here now that was built when you were just a baby, probably, is not going to give you the results you want. You have to use your imagination. You may use other people as models. I've changed my paradigm so often. And you build a model, you build a picture here of how you want to see yourself. Now let me explain. When I first started to study this, I knew nothing, absolutely nothing. When I first picked up this book, I was a lost soul. If you could think of a bad example, I would have fit that example. In almost every aspect of my life. I wasn't a nice person. I had the ability to be but I was not a nice person. I wasn't a nice person because my image was so shattered, so screwed up, it wouldn't permit me to do many of the things I wanted to do. It's rather sad, but that's the way it was. And I remember when I started to sell, I had one suit. It was a heavy wool tweed suit. That thing, and it was a hot summer, and that thing used to scratch my legs. I had to press it every night. I read a book, How Showmanship Sells. He had 30 suits. Elmer G. Letterman. He was one of the best dressed men in America. And I made up my mind that I too would have 30 suits. I was also reading books on sales, and it says when you're reading, I just read the best books on sales. I didn't read any bad books on sales. Of course, people that read books on sales don't put their bad ideas in. And they had sales contests. So I said, I was working by myself. I was it. Going out selling, getting cleaning contracts. So I thought, I'll have a sales contest for me. If I sell a certain amount, I'll get myself a new suit. Well, I sold that amount, but I had so many other places for the money to go, I didn't get the suit. So later on, I'm thinking, I should have a sales contest. And then my memory said, Bob, you've already done that. You don't keep your promises to yourself. You lied to yourself. You didn't get the suit. I thought, damn, that is so important. So I thought, I'll get the suit. Now I've got, I don't know, 30-some suits today. If I promise me I'm going to do something, I'm going to tell you, I do it. If I promise me I'm going to go somewhere, I go. If I promise me that I'm going to learn something, I learn it. Now, I know that there's a long ways for me to go. And I don't have a whole lot of time left. So I want to move fast now. I stay very focused on what I want. I will not permit anyone to take me off track. If they try, I won't permit it to happen. I'll just let them go what they're saying, and I'll go about my business. I am continually building a new picture of me, and I'm continually planting that picture over and over again here of me, a new picture. And that picture causes me to keep improving. And I'm going to tell you something, my results continually improve. And so do the results of everyone around me. Because I don't spend a lot of time with people that aren't really growing. I don't want to. But I do know this. I don't care how dumb you may think you are. I don't care how much out of the game you think you are. I don't care what kind of a loser you think you might be. I would have been all those things, but I changed it. I said, no way. I will do exactly what this person says, and I'll do it to the best of my ability. Well, that was way back in 1961, and I'm still doing that. I'm here in my studio very early every morning. There's the odd exception, but every morning. And I'm going through exercises. I write out my 10 things I'm grateful for. I practice writing with my left hand. That's an exercise I come up with to change paradigms. I'm continually working on me. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm extremely grateful for the idea that has used me. Alfred Adler nailed that. And you can be too. Build a better picture of yourself and say, this is going to happen. Come hell or high water, this is who I'm going to be from now on. Now, Mikey, if you've got a few questions, we will take, well, we could take up to 40 minutes.
All right, this first question I have for you, how can I let go of the past that is hurting my current self-image?
Well, that's a hell of a good question. I would imagine that's a question almost everybody's asking. Here's what you got to know. When you do this, the paradigm are a multitude of ideas. They're a multitude of habits, actually. They're habits. A habit is an idea that you act on without any thought. So if you consciously observe, just consciously observe your own behavior, you'll see the results you're getting and you'll know why you're getting, because this is the way I do things. There's a pattern. Make up your mind, you're going to change the image, so you write out a picture, take and write it out, make a written description of a new image of yourself. You're the weight you want to be, you're the wealth you want, you're the kind of person you want, everything. You write it out in detail. And then you keep reading that, you keep reading that. Now, you're going to read that 10,000, 100,000 times, I don't know how often. But every time you read that, you've got to get emotionally involved in it. You've got to be emotional about it. There's a great book, The Art of Acting by Stella Adler. I recommend everybody get it. We have friends. Jamie's an actress in L.A. She comes out to our seminars, and I keep telling people, go talk to her, because she's a great actress. Well, you become a great actress. You get a script, you read it, and then you live that part. Well, that's what we're doing. We write our own script in our new self-image, and then we're going to live that part. Now, you've got to do this over and over and over a number of times, and there's going to be disappointments, and you're not going to do it because the paradigm's so damn strong, and you've got to keep doing it. But you've got to get emotionally involved. Every time you read it, you've got to be emotionally involved. You've got to see yourself as that person. And then start working on one or two habits at a time. I get up early. Every day I study. I study the same stuff over and over and over again. So I don't know, as you let this go, I think what you do is you grow this. You grow this. You get emotionally involved in this new image. You plant that in your heart of hearts. This is the heart here, not the physical pump in your chest. The heart of hearts is the part Solomon talked about. As a person thinketh in their heart, so are they. Okay? So you keep doing this, and you keep doing this, and as you do this and keep doing it, over a period of time, this starts to grow and starts to become strong, and this starts to die for a lack of nourishment. So I don't know, as you really let the old one go, I think you overpower it with the new one, and the old one dies for a lack of nourishment. Every now and then I still have flashes of that old Bob, that guy that doesn't keep his word, that says he'll do something and doesn't do it. You see, I'm learning from everybody I deal with. You know, I keep talking about Phil Goldfine. I think Phil Goldfine's one of the greatest students that I've ever had. I mean, the guy's just absolutely incredible. Well, he's taught me something that he didn't even know he taught me. If he says he's going to do something, he does it right then, right then. Now, I didn't notice this right away, but it's over a period of time. He says he'd do something. He stops whatever he's doing right then, and he does it. He doesn't leave it hanging around. Leave it hanging around, you might not do it. He does it right away. I haven't formed that as a habit yet, but I'm starting to, and I'm starting to because I watched him do it. Now, this guy's multimillionaire. He's one of the most successful producers in Hollywood, and he started out with nothing. Started with nothing. 20 years ago, maybe a little more, he started to study this with me. He is a phenomenal student. So you keep getting emotionally involved with the new image of yourself to a point where the old one starts to die for a lack of nourishment. Okay? That was a long ways to answer your question.
This next question. What is the emotion I need to build in order to change my paradigm?
Well, it's not so much an emotion that you need to build. It's the idea. Like, I had to build a picture of myself, comfortable, on a stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people. Well, mentally, I can do that right here. I could do that laying in bed. And so I did. I did it when I was driving the car. I'd be at stoplights, and I'd be going with my hands out. I'd be putting on a talk on a stage. People beside me, maybe if they're stopped behind me, look at me, what the heck's he doing? You know, crazy. So you let yourself get emotionally involved in it. In other words, you feel it. Close your eyes, really get into it. See yourself be there. Well, it's pick one thing that you really want to start to do. See yourself doing it. and doing it well. You want to have a tremendous degree of respect for yourself. Now, respect is something you earn. You don't get it, you earn it. Well, if you haven't got respect for yourself, how's anybody else going to have? I have a fair amount of respect for me, but I'm a good person. I didn't used to be, but I am a good person. And I do good work. And I'm not doing anything compared to what I'm going to do. I'm going to get much better. We're going to reach more people all over the world. We're going to have 100,000 consultants, well-trained. We got great training programs. In fact, we just spent 3 days here training globally, all over the world, consultants to teach this. Well, I see myself as that person. Sandy and I often talk about this, and we'll get on the phone and we'll image this together and see ourselves running that kind of a company. Now, we're already running a big company. We want it bigger, better, more effective. You let yourself get emotionally involved, okay? The idea would have more to do with the emotion that you're getting into of what it is that you're doing. Next one.
This next question, how do you overcome the mental fatigue that arises from thinking in what I want to be, achieve, or change in my life over and over throughout the day, every day?
Yeah, that's a heck of a good question. I laugh because it's something that a lot of people don't see you doing. And why are you tired? You're not even working. Thinking is the hardest work there is, which is the probable reason so few people engage in it. Henry Ford said that. Thinking is the hardest work there is, which is the probable reason so few people engage in it. You're activating energy in your body that you never did in the past. It does get tiring, but don't feel bad. Have a good sleep and get up and get going again. Okay? Next one.
This next question, if your goal includes crowds and intuitively you want to adapt to the current environment, could you change your goal and adapt to the environment condition of the time by continuing your goal but adapting to conditions?
God, I'm not really sure if I understand that question. Read it again.
Hold on. It says, if your goal includes crowds and intuitively you want to adapt to the current environment, could you change your goal and adapt to the environmental condition of the time by continuing the goal but adapting to conditions?
I don't think I understand that question. If you want to adapt to the conditions of the environment, you can learn how to do that. That would probably cause change. You want the idea to start controlling you. See, what you're doing is you're originating a new idea and you want to fix it in your subconscious mind so that it's automatically working through you. Like I don't have to think to tie a tie. I got the first time I tied it, I don't have to think. I can be carrying on a conversation and tie and do a very good job of it. My brain has been programmed. I have cells of recognition in my brain. In fact, Sandy Gallagher is doing something right now that's very interesting with their trainer, Allison. They're doing, because of the shutdown, they're not able to train riding the horses. And so Allison is doing virtual lessons with cameras. I want you to imagine something. Let's suppose Sandy has ridden a horse. She knows all the moves and everything. So everything is programmed into our brain. There's cells of recognition programmed into our brain. Now, she gets a video of Allison riding this horse. Allison's got the camera on her, okay? And she sends that to Sandy. Sandy starts watching that. What's that video doing? As Allison starts to explain where they're at and riding, and she's riding the horse, and you got the picture, she's got the camera on it. That video that Allison is doing is activating those cells of recognition that Sandy already has in her brain, and they keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. That's how simulators work. You can learn how to fly a plane without leaving the ground in a simulator. And that's really what we're doing. Simulation is imagined reality. So the bottom line, whether I understand that question or not, is build a picture of how you want to live, what you want to happen, and whatever image you build, that's what it'll happen. You're God's highest form of creation. There's nothing on the planet that'll even come close to you. You're it. All things are possible. Doesn't matter how many are against you. I think it's written in a pretty good book. One person with God is a majority. Doesn't matter how many are against you. One person working with God. That's the way it works. Next one. Next question.
This next question, how can I stop getting bored of the same image if the desire is not manifesting?
How can you what?
How can I stop getting bored of the same image if the desire is not manifesting?
Oh, well, you're not. Wait a minute. You're contradicting yourself here. First of all, boredom and creativity are polar opposites. If the image is not, the desire is not manifesting, it's not a desire. You want something, but it's not something you want. Maybe something somebody else wants. First of all, here's what we got to get. Got to get this right. Now let's put that. You've got to go after something you seriously want. Not something I want you to want, not something your wife wants you to want, or your husband wants you to want, or your parent wants you to want, or your trainer wants you to want. You got to really want it. That's the prerequisite. The only prerequisite to set a goal, you got to really want it. Hillary really wanted to get to the top of Mount Everest. Nobody had ever done it. Nobody could believe that he could even do it, but he believed it. You've got to really want it. Don't have to know how to do it. You don't have to know where the money's coming from. You don't have to know how it's going to happen, but you've got to really want it. As you take that want and turn it over and plant it in your heart, that becomes a desire. Desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your action. Desire automatically expresses itself. So if you're talking about boredom, it's not something you really want. It's probably something that's maybe prestigious or something other people think, boy, you did that, but you're not. You don't have a desire for it, and you don't really want it. The want comes first. The desire comes from planting it in your mind over and over and over again. The desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without through your action. I have a desire to build this to a much bigger level. Sandy does. Everybody in our company does. That's why we all keep working at it. Never get bored. Boredom's the absence of a creative idea. You want to write that down. That's your problem. If you're bored, it's the absence of a creative idea. That's why Alfred Adler said, I'm grateful to the idea that has used me. Next one.
Bob, this next question is a little different, but a nice follow-up. How do I motivate myself to get emotionally involved with my idea?
Goes back to wanting it again. You'll motivate yourself if it's something you really want. You got to really want it, though. If you don't really want it, you won't do it. Kennedy, President Kennedy, really wanted America to get to the moon. He really wanted it. So he didn't have difficulty doing what Werner von Braun said, the will to do it. He asked him, what would I need, doctor, to do that? The good doctor said, the will to do it. The will, this is a very important part. We talked about having a will. You have perception, the will, memory, imagination, intuition, and reason. They're all higher faculties. This is what separates you from all the rest of the animal kingdom. They don't have that. They can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. They're sensory factors. All the animal kingdom have that. They don't have this. Only you have this. This is what separates you from all the rest of the animal kingdom. Now, when you build the picture of the good that you desire, This is your want. What was the question? I'm off on a track here.
How do I motivate myself to get emotionally involved with the idea?
When you're going after what you really want, you don't have to motivate yourself. It's what you want. Become like the little child. They want it. They keep saying, Daddy, Mommy, I want this. I want it. I want it. I want it. You can't discourage the kid. Well, when you really want it, you're going to continually get emotionally involved, and that is how the desire is formed. That desire then automatically moves you into action to produce the result. When you get a strong desire for something, you see, it's that desire that controls the vibration you're in. The vibration you're in dictates what you attract. If it's money you need, you'll attract it. When Hillary decided to go to the top of Mount Everest, he didn't know how to get there. Nobody had ever been there. But he knew he would attract whatever was required. Werner von Braun knew when he told Kennedy, the only thing you need to build a rocket that will take you to the moon and bring it back safely to Earth is the will to do it. The will is the mental faculty that enables you to concentrate on the one idea, on the one. And that's how the desire is built. See, you're working with mental faculties that most people don't really understand. I mention in almost every call that we're the only creature on the planet. We are the only creature, you and me. We're the only creature on the planet that's totally disoriented in our environment. All the rest of the creatures at home are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. They blend in. We don't. We're totally disoriented because we've been given these higher faculties. We've been given the ability to create our own environment. So Bob sits and he says, I want to build a company that operates all over the world. Bob has no formal education. He has no business experience. So what does he need? He needs people that have business experience, that has formal education. He needs people that has the smarts. Man, if you met some of the people in our company, they'll blow you away. They're so brilliant. We attracted a guy here not too long ago, Tommy Collier. He's a creative genius. We get awards in here from television for the trailers for some of our seminars. You can imagine, it blew my mind. I attracted Sandy Gallagher. 33 years ago, I had a woman who was sitting at our reception desk when I come walking in my office. And she said, hi, Bob. I said, hi. And I go walking in the office and I said to somebody, who's the girl out there? Oh, that's a new girl. Mike just hired her. Gina. Oh, okay. I didn't have an assistant or anybody. And whenever I wanted it done, this is when it was all on typewriters, you know. I had to get somebody to do it for me. Well, she was one of the people I'd get to do it. But she did such a good job, she was the only person I go back to. She became my personal assistant. She's been my assistant now for 34 years. She's absolute brilliant. She anticipates things. She just gets them done. You know, just phenomenal. It's, you'll attract what you need. We'll build the company. Am I going to know how to do it all? There's all kinds of things I don't know how to do. I got a young guy here in the control room. When he was 13 years old, he built a goal, he set a goal that he was going to work with me. He was going to, at 13. And he lived in Manchester in England. Do you know something? He's getting his landed immigrant status, and he is the director of this studio. He's absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He's 26 today. You'll attract whatever you require. You don't have to stay focused if you really want it. When you really want it, you'll never let go of the idea. That's why von Braun told Kennedy, the will to do it, the ability to just hold the idea in your mind. You will hold it. Carnegie put it very well. Now, Andrew Carnegie was Napoleon Hill's mentor. He's the one that commissioned him to write this book. He said, any idea that's held in the mind, that's emphasized, that you keep thinking about, that's emphasized. It's either feared, a negative idea, or revered, a positive idea, will begin at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. It'll move into form. That's an absolute law. The law is perpetual transmutation of energy. Energy is always moving into form. See, we're working with laws of the universe. We're part of the universe. We're the highest form of creation in the universe. So it's a matter of really understanding who we are, what we are, where we're going. Next one there, Mikey.
This next question, I heard you, and a lot of the things you're talking about make sense. I need to know, what do you mean by natural laws? Are the laws you're talking about backed with science?
Oh, yeah, that's how we got to the moon. In fact, the laws are God's modus operandi. You know, at one time it was believed that science and religion were antagonistic. Wernher von Braun was considered the greatest scientist that ever lived, father of the space program. He said something interesting. He said, after years of studying the spectacular mysteries of the cosmos, I've been led into a firm belief into the existence of God. He said, the natural laws of this universe are so precise that we don't have any difficulty now building spaceships, sending people to the moon, and you can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. He said, these laws must have been set by somebody. God's laws, that's what they are. And you're not going to learn them here in 15 minutes, but if you keep studying our material. See, I believe we've got one of the most complete programs you'll find anywhere in the world. I don't say that because my name's on it or Sandy's name's on it. I don't say that for that at all. I say it because of some of the people I've studied with. They're absolutely brilliant. I'm not in this for aggrandizement. I'm in this for helping you learn what I learned so you can enjoy what I enjoy. I'm 86. I've got as much energy as most people 36 or 56. I have no intentions of slowing down, absolutely none. I just want to teach this to more people and on a bigger scale. That's what we're doing. That's what I think you should do. See, that's God's will. We're doing God's will. What is God's will? God's will is greater good. Expansion, fuller expression. That's what God's all about. Expansion and fuller expression, do greater good. So that's what we're doing, greater good. That's what everybody in our company is doing. Our purpose is to live and work in a prosperous environment that encourages productivity and pleasure so that we can improve the service we render to our family, our company, our community, and to ultimately the world. That's what we're doing. Next one.
This next question, how can I know what my current self-image is, and is it helpful to know it so that I will be able to change it?
Is it help? You know, I was going to say it's essential, you know, it is not, but it is helpful. Well, all you have to do is take a look at your life, and your life is an expression of what's going on inside. So, you know, it's... This is not rocket science, it really is not, and you don't have to get too articulate with it, but think of this. You have the ability to pay conscious attention to what you're doing. You can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. So that helps you deal with your outside world. So start paying attention to your own behavior. Are you doing the things you really want to do? Pay attention to your results. Are you getting the results you want to get? Now, if you're not getting the results you want to get, it's probably because you're not doing some of the things you want to do. Well, here's what you want to grasp. You've got an image in here. It's called your self-image. And that self-image is controlling all this, what you do and the results you're getting. Then you ask yourself, do I have to know all aspects of this? No, you don't. But this is what you want to know. if I sit and say, this is the kind of person I want to be, I'll give you an idea. I want to be very effective at what I'm doing. I want to get better at it every day. Every seminar I put on, I want to be better than the last one. Do you know I spent a good part of yesterday just playing with the ideas and what I was going to do on this program today? I spent almost all day yesterday. I was up early this morning, spent all morning. I want to get, I'm very good at this, but I'm nowhere near as good as I can be. If we are God's highest form of creation, if all things are possible, then I can go out and walk across a pool. I could make myself weightless and walk on top of the water. I have not learned how to do that. Now, why do I say that? I say that just as an example. You can always get better at what you're doing. Now, I don't know what other people in our industry are doing. I really don't. I don't spend any time thinking about what other people in our business are doing. I know they're not doing what I'm doing because they're not me. And I want to get better at what I'm doing. Now, how do I do that? Well, I do it by checking the results we're getting. If we're getting more results, we're getting through to more people, then we got to be doing it better. If they're getting better results, we got to do it better. So I want to keep building an image of how to get better. Now, do you have to know your present one? No, you don't, but you can get a pretty good idea of what your present result is if you just take a look at what you're doing, how you treat people, how you permit people to treat you. Like, I won't permit people to not be nice to me. If they're not nice to me, they're not in my life very long, okay? And you take a look at the results you're getting. That's an expression of your self-image. And then you say, now, would I love to do things different? Do I want better results? Then build a picture of it here. You build the picture here. Then start to get emotionally involved with that picture. And you'll find pretty soon this will start to change, and so will this. That's the way it works. I would recommend everybody buy the book, Psycho-Cybernetics. Psycho-Cybernetics was written by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. It was written around 1960. It was one of the greatest psychological discoveries of his generation. Now, let me explain what happened. Maltz was a reconstructive surgeon, a plastic surgeon. And he would find he would maybe remove a very distasteful scar from a person's face. And it was very successful. You couldn't even tell the scar was there after a while. So there would be a definite change in their physical appearance, but no change psychologically. Now, in another situation, they may remove a very distasteful scar. Not only was there a change in the person's physical, a tremendous change in their personal behavior, in their psychological self. They thought different of themselves. I talked to a young lady not long ago, had a little bump taken off her nose. And I said, do you feel different? Oh, she says, I feel so much better about myself. Well, that's what Maltz noticed. He said, sometimes there was a great change physically, no change mentally. Sometimes there was a great change physically, a great change mentally. That led him to postulate that we have an inner self-image. When we look in the mirror, we see the image coming back from the mind, from the mirror. That's a physical expression. That's a physical expression of ourselves. But we've got another image inside that nobody sees but us. They only see expressions of it. That's how we act, how we live, how we feel about ourselves, how we think. Okay? Next one. We got 9 minutes.
This next question, how can we focus more on what is important than on what is urgent?
Oh, well, you're talking about priorities here, and that's different for each individual person. You have to determine your own priority. You've got to create your own priorities. What's important? I think it's important that you move in the direction you want to move in your life. And you could be accepting somebody else's order of priority. That's not always a good way to live. You know, don't try and please somebody else, please you. Quit worrying about what other people think. It's what's important to you. Terry Whitaker wrote a book one time, Terry Cole Whitaker. She wrote a book called, and the title of the book is, What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. The title of the book could teach you a lot. Don't worry about what somebody else thinks. What's important to you? You create your own priorities. Like I've got certain things that I've got to get done in this company. There's certain things that I'm working on. There's clients that I serve them. It's very important that I do the best I can do for them. So I'm continually thinking, how can I improve my own performance? Okay. Next one.
How do I, oh wait, I already read that one, sorry. Self-image is also impacted by environment. How can I make mine better?
Well, self-image to a large degree is impacted by your environment because, hold on a minute. Look here. And we don't have time to get into this in any depth at all. But the conscious mind reasons inductively and deductively. The subconscious is totally deductive. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, you remember I told you the subconscious mind has no ability to reject. It cannot differentiate between what you imagine, what's real. Whatever's planted, that's the way it is. Inductive reasoning is when you take individual thoughts and you pull them together and you build an idea. Deductive reasoning is when you take the idea and you just carry it out to its parts. Okay? Now, the conscious mind reasons both inductively and deductively. This is your thinking part here. So let's take a look at a person that's not thinking. That's the way that person would be. Whatever's going on in their outside world, this is shut down. This is not working. They're not thinking. Their subconscious mind is wide open. Their environment comes right in here. That's the way most people live in prison, like that. How do I know that? Because I spent a lot of time going into prisons. I used to go into a maximum security once a month for about 5 years, working with the people, getting to know them. And I've seen a lot of them really change and change dramatically, which is another story. But they're in that environment. All they're talking about is crime. There's no rehabilitation system. It's a penal system. They breed crime in those places. So whatever's going on goes right in here. That is the reason for the recidivism rate. It's up around 85 or 90%. When a person's leave prisons, they go back again. In fact, they're leaving. The guards will say, "You'll be back." And they say, "Don't hold your breath, screw." They come back. Why? They're programmed. You're a product of the environment. Take welfare recipients, almost third, fourth, fifth generation people on welfare recipients. It goes on for generation. Somebody's got to break it. Somebody has to start to think. Close this off. Don't just let anything go in there. Okay? Now that's another lesson all of its own, but certainly give you room for thoughts. You got another 4 minutes. What else you got there, Mikey? Let me mention, before we go any further, the lady that's on the call here with me is she's in Dallas, Texas. She is our Chief Operating Officer. She's also the Marketing Director of our company. And she's one of the nicest people in our company. She has an absolutely incredible attitude. Everybody talks about Mikey, they refer to her attitude. She's got a great attitude. And she started with us. She was a nanny for someone that came to do some work for us. She had no business experience, absolutely none. Now, she's the Chief Operating Officer. She's one of the senior people in our company. She's our Marketing Director. She has changed the image that she has of herself 100-fold. And so have a lot of other people, including me. Next question there, Mikey.
And thank you for your help with that, Bob.
You're quite welcome.
This next question. How do I not let my self-image be affected by what other people think about me?
Oh, you've got to say, wait a minute. Do I want to live the way I think they think I should live, or do I want to live the way I want to live? That is very important you get that straight. Absolutely refuse to do things just to please other people so that they'll be pleased with you. That's a bad trip at its very best. You live the way you want to live. Just make sure you do it well. Help as many people as you can. Give as much as you can. Givers gain. The more you give, the more you're going to receive. You don't have to worry about getting. I love the way Zig Ziglar, he was a great teacher. He said, you help enough people get what they want, they'll always give you what you want. That's the way it works. Go ahead, Mikey.
This next question. I'm having a hard time looking for opportunities right now. How or what signs should I be looking for?
You know, if you're having a hard time looking for opportunity, I know exactly what your problem is. You're trying to get something. Quit trying to get. Think of how you can help people. Where can you help people? And listen, you may not have any money, you may not have any talent. Forget that, you do have talent. Quit trying to get. Quit looking how to get. Most people think of opportunity as something you get. No, it's something you give. There's more opportunity right now. I know a company that's growing at such a rapid clip right now, it's staggering because they're trying to help people. Our company is growing right now because we're trying to help people. Sit down and say, what am I really good at? How can I help people with what I've got going for me? That's where the opportunity is. That's what Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill's book is all about. Get Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. My goodness, I've been, look, I got elastic around this because it's falling apart. Look at it. See? Pages are coming out. Here. There's a page I got to keep putting back in. Literally, the pages are falling out of the book. Literally. I've been reading this every day since October the 21st, 1961. Here, just keep going. Okay? Now, Pammy, or Mikey, and Scott, are you there? Hello, Scott.
I'm here.
And Mikey, I want you to join with me, and you and I are going to sing Happy Birthday to my niece, who's 60 today. I remember when she was born. She was so fat as a baby, she couldn't open her eyes. And she had black hair. She looked like an Eskimo baby. Her hair was sticking all over the place. I remember going over to the hospital to see her, and I thought, God, what a little love. I just want to pick her up and hug her. And she's just as much a love today as she was then. So come on. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Pammy. Happy birthday to you. Pam Chevalier, she's 60 today. Some of you people know her that were in seminars because Pam comes to a lot of seminars. She's a great woman, wonderful mother, good wife, and a phenomenal entrepreneur. Scott, I want to thank you for the great job you're doing here in the control room. Mikey, you are the best. You are the best. You get everything going so good here. And we've got a lot of phenomenal people. We got a lot of Mikeys in our company. Just absolutely great people. So Mikey, thank you. Okay?
Thank you, Bob. Before we drop off, I don't want you to forget to mention that people can opt in for a free coaching session from this.
Well, yeah, listen, some of you had questions there. We've got some people that are very well educated in this that can help you. If you want to talk to somebody about your particular situation, leave your information, leave your email, your phone number, but leave your phone number too, and so we can text you, and let one of our coaches sit down with you. Spend a half hour or so. It's not going to cost you a nickel, and it can literally change your life. Also, you've got the ability, share this whole broadcast with somebody. If you've got a mailing list, send it out to them. Make people aware of this. Make this a real Good Friday for all kinds of people. But let us help you. If you've got something that stuck in your mind and you think, gosh, I wish I could talk to them one-on-one, you can. You can. We've got just phenomenal staff of people in this company, and I love them all. I feel so fortunate. Good Friday, mine is the best Friday. I mean, it's just, my life is just, it's a bowl of cherries. It really is. It just keeps getting better. And it's because of you, and you, and you, and you, all of you. Make it so good. Mikey, thank you. And listen, don't you go struggling with the problem. Give us a call. Let one of us sit down with you and we'll show you how to solve the problem. There's no end to what you can do. You see, we're an opportunity company. Opportunity is how you can do something for somebody. That's all we want to do. We want to help you. Let us help you. Thank you, Mikey. And we will do another one of these in the very near future let's say within a week. I'll do one within a week. What's the man's name out in California? The greatness?
Lewis Howes.
Lewis Howes.
School of Greatness.
I'm going to do another call with him on Monday. Now, I don't know if he play it right away. Does he play it live or what's he do? This guy, he is incredible. He does a phenomenal job. And what's the name of his program?
It's the School of Greatness podcast.
The School of Greatness podcast. This guy is incredible. He does phenomenal research, and he shares it with millions of people. Well, he and I are going to sit down again. I did a year ago with him. I found him a fascinating guy. First of all, it took us about a year to get our schedules so I could sit down with him. And we got to set up, I understand, for Monday. I'm looking forward to it. So if you're listening, Lewis, I'm looking forward to being with you, my friend. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Have a good Friday. But if you're stuck, let us help you. You know, just leave your information. Somebody will be on the call to you. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, everybody. Bye now. I hope you enjoyed this video. We put a lot of good information up here, and it causes everything in your life to get better. If you'd like us to notify you every time we put a new video up, hit subscribe and then turn on notifications. Check out all our videos, and we will notify you when we put a new one up.